people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
We'll start with this. It would seem that while in attendance for the recent BET Awards, Claressa Shields has once again stirred the pot and ruffled some feathers in the process of doing so. She stated, "I still don't know how I didn't win the Sportswoman of the Year for the BET Awards, but congrats to Angel Reese and all the other nominees. I thought accolades mattered."
Wait, the basketball player?
But let me go ahead and make up for missing 2 days of grinding at the gym to attend all this BET stuff. I defend my undisputed heavyweight title July 26th. If I win that fight, I'll be a 19-time world champion.
19-time world champion? What kind of a statistic is that?
Well, she's basically counting every single fight she's had towards that statistic.
That's not how that works.
For seemingly shading Angel Reese, she got some pushback on social media, to which she responded, "Nobody is saying Angel Reese doesn't have accolades or she's not good. I'm saying I thought the person with the most accolades and accomplishments would win the award. I'm team Angel Reese." Does that sound familiar? This sounds like the stuff she used to say about Katie Taylor, the stuff she still says about Amanda Serrano.
Oh no, I'm team this person, I'm team that person, I'm a fan.
In a pig's eye, Claressa was in attendance for the BET Awards alongside her beau Papoose, and once again, she can't stand to see another woman, another athlete, receive any kind of acknowledgement, because if they do, she's gonna try to make it about herself. Now, I don't know if that's narcissism or insecurity or both. Is it possible for someone who's so egocentric to simultaneously be insecure about themselves to where they need constant validation?
Because she can't sit still. She can't stand it that another woman athlete in a completely different sport is receiving acknowledgement. She feels that all the acknowledgement should go to her, which is confirmation of what I say all the time. Claressa thinks that unless you're groveling at her feet, something's wrong.
It's ridiculous is what it is. We see enough of this inside of the boxing sphere.
Now she's taking shots at basketball players.
And don't say that she isn't, because in so many words, what she's really saying is that Angel Reese shouldn't have gotten that award. She should have got it. That's what she's saying.
Saying she don't deserve it.
Angel Reese, one of the more popular WNBA players. Claressa doesn't like that.
Green-eyed monsters got a hold of her once again, and people are starting to notice. No, it's not just me. It's not just the usual guys that comment on this stuff.
Yes, and Jake Paul cannot beat me in a boxing match. I stand on that. I really wish he was just him and MVP got so much against me. Him, Amanda, Alicia, all them hating ass girls.
She brings up Jake Paul and MVP more than they bring her up. They've got work to do.
Other stuff to think about besides Claressa, that they don't bring her up as much as she brings them up. And as far as Jake Paul beating her in a boxing match, he never even said he would.
I wish Jake Paul would just get in the ring with me. All you gotta do, I promise you, I get in there. He want to put on a headgear. I'll put on a headgear. We can wear 14, 12 ounce, 10 ounce gloves. I'm telling you, Jake probably mad as hell.
You see? You see what I'm saying? It be shit like that, yo. And I really do legit be trying to like this girl. I be looking for reasons to like her because, she is an African American woman. She has a ton of accolades. Who wouldn't want their child, you know what I'm saying, to look up to somebody like that? And then she says bogus ass shit like that. Like, Claressa, I get it. You are the GOAT, you know what I'm saying, coined by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Greatest woman of all time. Fine, we'll go with that just for the sake of argument. What the hell makes you think you could beat Jake Paul? Shit. What the hell made you think you could beat Keith Thurman? Like, these are men at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even respect Jake Paul as a boxer, but that's a man, a 200 plus pound man. He will whoop your ass, girl. I don't know what you be thinking, saying some of the things that you be saying. But you gotta stop this shit. And then she just really jumped out her body off the damn plane.
I'm the Beyonce of boxing.
The rivalry between her and Jake Paul is no rivalry at all, and whatever it is, she's the one keeping it alive. Jake rarely mentions Claressa Shields.
She's the one keeping it going because she's the one that started it.
We've been all through that. She's likening herself to being the Beyonce of boxing. I don't think she's as beloved in boxing as Beyonce is in her arena. And what's happening now is she is sort of exiting the boxing sphere, where some might grovel at her feet,
But not all.
entering into the hip-hop space, where she might find that the audience is a little bit different, and they're not as quick to grovel at her feet, they're not as quick to compliment her, they'll call her out on some of the sillier things she often says.
Like this content creator just did, who has no affiliation to me, isn't influenced by anything I'm saying.
And even she's saying that Claressa Shields' ego is out of control. She's struggling to find reasons to root for her, reasons to like her.
There are none. Because as accomplished as Claressa is, simultaneously, that's how insufferable she is.
You can't take her anywhere. You can't take her to the BET Awards to sit back and enjoy the show because she's gonna make it about herself, like everything else. Now, she's got a fight coming up, and I think that most of the people criticizing her for what she said about Angel Reese, they don't even know.
They don't know she has a fight coming up, let alone who she's fighting, but she swears that everybody's hating on her. All those hating-ass girls at MVP. I sincerely doubt they're sitting around DMing rappers to sympathize with them and side with them the way that Claressa did when the viewing figures came out for Taylor versus Serrano 2. I don't think they spend a lot of time on stuff like that, like Claressa does. She's projecting.
For all of the belts and all of the accolades and everything else in between, Claressa Shields may be the most disliked woman in all of organized sports.
Beyonce of boxing.
There are deep-seated insecurities there that have stayed with Claressa Shields well into her adult years, because if this were coming from a teenager or a tween, I could understand. But she's grown enough, old enough.
There's no excuse for this. Emotional trauma from your childhood is not a get-out-of-jail free pass to act like a goddamn asshole.
Like an egomaniac.
I don't know how Papoose puts up with it. I don't want to. That's his problem.
His headache, it is just more of the same from boxing's resident narcissist and glory hog.
Better check her ego while she's leaving the boxing sphere for another one, because somebody at some point might hurt her feelings.
What she doesn't realize is that most of the time the people in boxing, a lot of people in it, are pulling punches. There are some other people out there that won't.
Oh, she likens herself to Beyonce of all people. Are you joking or are you on drugs?
Men's junior middleweight news, Sebastian Fundora asserts the Tszyu rematch will make him the man of a loaded division. Las Vegas. He endured a bloodbath for the ages to become a champion, and he quickly disposed of his first challenger. Next, as Sebastian Fundora readies for his rematch on July 19th, with former champion Tszyu of Australia, the WBC junior middleweight champion from Southern California seeks to continue his elevation. Of course, I am a champion, so I have to compete like that. Fundora, 22-1 with 1 draw, 14 knockouts, told boxing scene during a session with reporters to formally announce his bout with Tszyu, 25-2 with 18 knockouts, which serves as the co-main event to the Mario Barrios versus Manny Pacquiao WBC welterweight title fight at Las Vegas's MGM Grand on Prime Video pay-per-view.
The bout is a renewal of their initial meeting in March of last year. PBC champion's debut on Prime Video promotion, former welterweight champion Keith Thurman withdrew from fighting Tszyu because of a quote-unquote injury, and Fundora, coming off a knockout loss to Brian Mendoza, was inserted as the replacement opponent.
And then, like now, Tim was supposed to fight Keefe, and he ends up fighting Sebastian instead, with the difference being, it's not short notice this time. Relying on his nearly 10-inch reach advantage, Fundora, 27, outworked Tszyu for the narrow victory. Fundora knows there's a lingering perception that he only defeated Tszyu by split decision because the then WBO champion sustained that vicious gash atop his head when the 6'6" Fundora accidentally planted his sharpened elbow tip onto Tszyu in the second round of what was their gory war. Tszyu has said lost his mind because of the cascade of blood he lost through the fight, but Fundora dealt with blood loss too from a nose injury.
It's not just losing blood. Tim's vision was impaired. He couldn't see.
Whereas Sebastian, even though he was bleeding from his nose and mouth. None of that impaired his vision. Given that he's been through 12 rounds with Tszyu, who proceeded to get knocked down 5 times and finished in the third in October versus IBF champion Bakram Murtazaliev, Fundora is seeking a convincing outing to illustrate his development. Asked if he expects to go another 12 rounds with the 30-year-old Tszyu, Fundora said no. He expects to finish him. We've been training very hard, he said. I'm the champion, still growing. We're going to make some changes. We always try to improve. Fundora, ideally, would like to join his sister, Gabriella, as an undisputed champion, but he opted to drop his WBO title rather than defend it against his mandatory challenger, Xander Zayas, who will instead fight Mexico's Jorge Garcia Perez for it on July 26th in New York.
The lesser of two evils, that's how they look at Timmy. They look at Xander, and they look at Timmy, and they tell themselves, let's go with the devil that we know, because he might be damaged goods, and if nothing else, we fought him before.
It's just the business of boxing, Fundora said of Zayas. I don't get paid more to fight the mandatory. That's what a promoter and a manager are for. It doesn't bother me. I'll still fight him. Fundora's representatives, promoter Samson Lukowicz and Premier Boxing Champions Link promoter Tom Brown, have each explained how the public's interest and financial support of the Tszyu fight trumps an obligatory bout with Zayas.
It's just another way of saying that Timmy is more beatable, at least in their eyes, and he brings foreign revenue to the table.
Because this is not just a pay-per-view in America, it's also a pay-per-view in the land down under, in Australia. With this rematch, the thinking goes, and Fundora proves how good he is while pressing on towards lucrative dates against the heavies of the junior middleweight division, including the former undisputed champion and PBC stablemate Jermell Charlo, unbeaten Virgil Ortiz, Murtazaliev, and the winner of Zayas versus Perez. Everyone wants to be the best. That's how you stamp that, Fundora said. There's a lot of fights to be made, a lot of names, and I want to fight all of them. People can say whatever they want about dropping the WBO title. If Zayas wants the WBC title, he's gonna have to fight for it. I'm still champion. Fundora has remarked that he witnessed some PTSD from Tszyu when the former champion reached for his head at the spot he was cut during the pummeling by Murtazaliev. Tszyu returned with a victory over Joey Spencer this past April, so I expect a great fight, Fundora said. If there's any lingering discomfort from Tszyu during the rematch, Fundora said, you're going to see the effects.
It's been well over a year since their initial meeting, and since then Sebastian has only fought once, and that was a layup fight.
Timmy's fought 2 times since then, the Bakram Murtazaliev fight that he lost in devastating fashion, and the rebound fight with Joey Spencer. So what makes this fight different to their initial meeting is, it's not on short notice this time. Timmy's gonna have a full camp for Sebastian.
So not only does he have all the experience from the first fight to draw from, but he's gonna have a full camp. He won't be caught off guard.
And short of another freak accident, another freak elbow piercing the top of his skull and blood seeping into his eyes, you could give him reasonable odds to win this rematch.
Reasonable.
The wild card is Tim Tszyu's mental state. How confident is he? How confident is he really? Because what Sebastian said is true. I noticed it myself at the start of the Murtazaliev fight that Timmy must have thought his cut opened up again because he kept pawing at it.
He had the power and he had the counters to do a lot of damage very quickly in the opening stanza of his fight with Sebastian. I don't think that changed.
But he still has it within his ability to hurt Sebastian Fundora. He still has the counters, he still has the power. It's his headspace that might have changed. And we won't know where he really is until the night of the fight, which is a big part of the reason why I'm actually buying the pay-per-view. Between the co-main event and the main event, there's enough there that I'll fork over the $80.
Yeah, Pacquiao versus Barrios might turn out to be a barn burner because they're both offensively minded fighters that are not big on defense.
They're not going to glide around the ring just staring at each other. All of those quiet moments and pauses in the action. It's going to be an action fight, albeit for the wrong reasons.
Between that and the co-main event, Tszyu versus Fundora 2, I'll take it.
I am leaning towards Timmy to avenge the loss from their initial meeting. It was only made possible by the accident, by the blood seeping into his eye and impairing his vision. And even with that, he was still landing big right hands, many of them throughout the course of the fight. Without that handicap,
You might get Sebastian this time.
And finally, Turki Al-Sheikh's open message to the boxing community at large. If you think you're ready to be on the undercard of Canelo versus Crawford, come talk with us. Turki Al-Sheikh with a call out to the world's best boxing talent following the Canelo versus Crawford official announcement. What fights would make sense on that undercard? I've already given one suggestion.
Yanni Beck versus Adames.
So that would still leave at least 4 or 5 other spots to fill. I think that a featherweight fight, a featherweight unification match between Rafael El Divino Espinoza versus Angelo Leo for what are the WBO and IBF titles would make a lot of sense. Remember that this is falling on Mexican Independence Day weekend, so it might be a good idea to have some Mexican fighters on there. And Rafa, that guy's made for television. Him versus Angelo Leo would be fireworks.
And what about Sugar Munez? Sugar just became IBF champion at super featherweight. I would like to see him fight either Charlie Suarez, who just fought Emmanuel Navarrete, or Emmanuel Navarrete. That's assuming a rematch between those two doesn't happen, and I don't think it's going to.
I think Emmanuel's probably going to move up to lightweight, and if he does, I would like Nunez versus Suarez for the IBF and vacant WBO titles. That could be a great fight.
Give me Boachuk versus Lara. Arislandi Lara at 160 pounds. I think that Sergey is wasting his time at 154, and nobody's just going to fight him for the sake of fighting him.
He's a hot potato. Turki Al-Sheikh's shows are still his best bet to land quality opponents, quality fights, and Lara's not otherwise preoccupied with anything. Make a fight between them for Lara's WBA title!
On top of the Yanni Beck versus Adames fight, set up a fight between the winners of those fights.
Just a few ideas. This fight between Canelo and Crawford is going to happen on a very, very big stage. It is set to be arguably the biggest fight of the year on the biggest platform, seen by the most people. So you really want to spruce up this undercard. You want it to be all action shootouts, all action fights.
Like a cartel war in Sinaloa.
Like a desperado.
Soy un hombre muy honrado, y me gusta lo mejor. Las tetas y las nalgas, ay Dios mío, ay señor.
The undercard should be a reflection of the occasion because it's Mexican Independence Day weekend.
That's how you do it, Turkey.
Espinoza versus Leo, Nunez versus Suarez, Lara versus Bohachuk, and Yanni Beck versus Adames.
I'll buy that for $1.
Since it's going to be available to so many people around the world via Netflix and their 300 plus million subscribers, you want it to be exciting from top to bottom. You don't want anything that's going to take away from the occasion, so don't book no Sugarfoot fighters, please.
Isn't Lara a Sugarfoot fighter?
Well, he used to be, but he's in his early 40s now, and he doesn't glide around the ring the same way that he used to. And even if he tries to, Sergey will mow him down. Try to wear him out with his volume. Those are just a few suggestions.